Hey, what's up, mandatory friends? Remember, if you like the content, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. You can also follow us on our social media channels. You'll see on the screen our new background. Let us know if you rock with it, but also give us a follow. And if you've already hit that like and subscribe button, we do appreciate you. Remember, we're on the audio side as well. So wherever you find your shows, podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, we are there too. So you can listen to us on the road, whether you're at the gym, and give us a 5-star, leave a rate and review. That will help the channel grow. If you've already been doing that, remember, this is also an interactive show. So we do take your questions and comments. So if you're on YouTube, drop them in the chat. If you're listening to this and want to hit us up, you can reach out to us on social media, or you can always drop some comments later on one of our videos. Lots to get into on this episode. So in that, well, we're not going to do segments, but technically they're segments. But we're going to talk about the fight that nobody's talking about. Sebastian Fundora and Keith Thurman. We're going to break that all down and who we got. We're going to be talking about Xander Zayas and Jerron Boots Ennis. The saga continues. I feel like I've been talking about this forever, but we're going to talk about some more. Opetaia, we predicted this. He would be stripped at the IBF. And that's exactly what happened. We'll break that down, what it means for him, what it also just means for Zuffa. Oscar De La Hoya also talked about Ring Magazine and how he has some regrets. We're going to get into that. But first, Bryan, I think we have to obviously start off with the biggest news, and it has to do with the Ali Act, because just on Tuesday, the Ali Act was passed by the U.S. House of Representatives. It passed by, a vote. They pretty much debated for about 30 to 40 minutes. But this is the first major federal boxing legislation to clear in the House after like 25 years. And essentially with these votes, the things that they passed, I don't really know if it's great for boxing, but there are a lot of people who really love the MMA UFC structure. And with this vote passing, it would very much be like that. But what it does is it really puts a hold on everyone else in boxing. This is set up where a situation like Zuffa can really, really grow. Not really great for the boxers, though, Bryan, because there's a whole bunch of little nuggets. You know when they say read the paperwork? You got to read all the fine print. You got to read all the fine print for this, because there's a lot that is in this, Bryan, with this passing.
Yeah. And it's passing the House. It'll hit the Senate. It'll hit the president's desk, and it'll go into law. Like that's how this works. And we know it's going to go into law because of who Dana White's friends are, as we've talked about. There was one person who spoke out against this, and it was Joe Courtney, representative from Connecticut. I may play some of that sound. I think it's probably worth your time.
Yeah.
But we've been talking about this for a while, so we're not going to beat it over the dead horse. I just dropped a longish form video on it on my channel. So that's out now. And don't think it's great for boxing's future. I think the next couple years will probably be fine. Like it may be as Zuffa gets their footing, and they're going to be putting on a lot of events because they have that deal with Paramount. And they're going to try to curate a lot of influence. We'll see what happens there. But I think just the sport's in a place where the whole thing needs a reset, and we're just not going to get that. So it's not even worth bringing up like, hey, they absolutely should tear this all down and start it back up like you would do almost in like wrestling where you would have a
Yeah.
draft and it's like Raw and SmackDown and then you move some people here, you move some people here. It's like it's not going to be that way. It is what it is. I think the sport's broken. Even the sport was broken before Dana White got here. To be clear, this just isn't going to help. It's gonna I think fracture it worse. So we can talk briefly about, or as a matter of fact, let's play
Mhm.
some of what Joe Courtney had to say because he's really the only person who spoke out and seemed to honestly understand what the bill was.
Yes.
Instead
Which
of
is important. You got to understand what the bill is about.
yeah, instead of doing the hacky shit, like one of the guys, Fred Wahlberg from Michigan, was like, "I'm here to float like a butterfly and sting like a bee," and I was like, "Oh shit."
Just saying random quotes, great quotes. That means you know a lot about the boxing business, Bryan. Right? Like
The
just
most basic. It's like
yeah,
asking somebody, "What's your favorite Biggie song?" and they're like, "Oh, you know,
juicy.
Juicy, right?"
It was all a dream. Right? Like they're gonna say I think that's his most popular song, but yeah, go ahead.
It is like that's probably the one that's most likely to play at like weddings and stuff. Okay, here's what
Yeah.
Joe Courtney had to say. Hopefully we don't get flagged.
Senior member of the Committee on Education and Workforce, Mr. Courtney.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Mr. Speaker, I rise today in opposition to H.R. 4624, which I also opposed in committee along with 3 other members, to the Muhammad Ali Boxing Revival Act, a bill which radically amends the existing Muhammad Ali Act that was passed in 2000. That law established statutory protections for boxers from exploitative and unethical business practices. The committee received expert testimony from witnesses with deep experience in the legal landscape in the boxing world and warned us that this bill will strip away many of those hard-fought reforms. H.R. 4624 creates a new parallel legal structure, the so-called Unified Boxing Organizations, which can engage in promotion, rule setting, match organization, and creation of their own titles and rankings. Under the existing law, negotiated and spearheaded by the late John McCain, these functions have been required to remain separate to protect against conflicts of interest and coercive contract terms for boxers.
Let's stop there because we know part of this is the course of contract terms. Zuffa, I guess we could take it off Zuffa. Any UBO,
Yeah.
and you need a lot of resources to establish a UBO, but any UBO can come in and just do what they want if you get signed into a contract. And what they'll tell you is like, hey, boxers have a choice. Like people who don't think this is a big deal, they'll say boxers have a choice, and they do. The problem is the options are not going to be there to really have a choice. It's kind of like if you're going to be a pro in MMA, you know that UFC is the ultimate goal. Otherwise, how much money are you really getting for your time? And the UFC has their own fighter pay issues. Same thing with WWE, where it's like there's 2 places really in the States, that is. This a lot of this is also like specific to here,
Yeah.
but North America, but still. The other thing is in wrestling, you go to the WWE, you go to AEW. Otherwise, you can't really go anywhere else. You're just on the indies. And the indies existed in a much different way 20, 30, not to mention in the 1980s, like however many years ago, 70s, etc. Like there was an actual territory system, developmental system. So boxing is probably going to move to a place, and we've already been trending in that direction, but this is going to accelerate it where there's not going to be a healthy club boxing scene. And there hasn't been one for a little bit now, but it's about to get worse because a lot of the younger fighters are probably going to be like, fuck, like they're going to sign with Zuffa just because they feel like they have to, or they may sign with Matchroom or whatever. But there's just not going to be a lot of options for these guys. And you have a healthy scene when there are options for people to make money in all these different places, like how in the territory days of wrestling, you can make money in Georgia, you can make money in Florida, you can make money in New York, you can make money in Texas, you can make money in California, all these different places. Same thing with like the club boxing scene where you can go to all these different places and get fights. If it's just going to be stripped down to just a couple of places and they're the only ones who could provide the resources, like that's not good.
But this is exactly what they want. This is the power that they want. This is what Turk and Dana want for the sport of boxing. Now, there is a group of people that love what the UFC does. And the UFC, in terms of how they pay their fighters, we have always heard that Dana has robbed fighters. Have we not heard that, Brian? We've been talked about this for a long time, that fighters don't get paid the same amount. Now, with this new bill as well, if you actually read the fine print, sometimes fighters will have to fight and not know how much they're going to make, Brian.
Yeah.
And that to me is crazy. Like, you're putting your life on the line. Like, boxing is a different sport. It's not like basketball. In football, you can get crazy injured and, like, you can get paralyzed. That's happened before. But in boxing, you go into the ring and you might not make it out. There's been a lot of boxers that have gone into the ring and not made it out.
We almost lost one last week. ISIS, fucking 19 years old.
It's terrible. So imagine putting your life on the line, loving this sport, going into the ring and not knowing how much you make. This is a disadvantage for boxers. And this Ali Act is supposed to protect boxers. This is not protecting boxers, Brian.
Yeah, and to be clear, the original Ali Act, on some level, like, it needed
Yes.
a refresher. You know what I mean? Like, because the sanctioning bodies weren't really adhering to all the guidelines either, because we've talked about how, look, the IBF has their own criteria. We'll get to that later. They follow their criteria more than all the other sanctioning bodies, in my opinion. And that could be for better or worse, depending on how you feel. The WBC, the WBA, the WBO, like, they all have different sanctioning bodies. They all have different rules, rather, and just different ways that they operate. Like, the WBC is allowing Rico Verhoeven to fight for a title against Alexander Usyk. Like, we've seen them do nutty shit. We've seen the WBA with 3 champions in one weight class, because you have a super champion and a regular champion and an interim champion, and they have, like, a gold champion. You know what I mean? Like, the WBO now has a global title. The WBC has a diamond title. You know, the IBF doesn't. I don't know if the IBF has any of those things off the top of my head. It's like, someone in the comments correct me, but I don't know if the IBF has any of those types of titles. You know, obviously we've seen super champions from not even just the WBA, but we saw it at one point for the WBO, and the WBO famously nicknamed amongst, like, hardcore boxing fans what Bob Orders, because Top Rank tends to move their guys through the WBO. Al Heyman would move his guys often through the WBC. You know, like, the sanctioning bodies aren't perfect either, so it's not even a defense of that system. But what the original Ali Act was meant to adhere to helped in a lot of different ways. The problem was the sport and people within the sport didn't adhere to those guidelines over the course of time, and we got here, and this sport was, again, ripe for someone to just come in and just be like, okay. And really, the person coming in and taking it over is Turkey.
Okay, so here's the thing. And if I'm going to be completely unbiased in this situation, because I think we all know, if you've been watching the show, how I feel about it. But if I'm going to be completely unbiased, there are some pros to this happening as well. And I'll say that in terms of Zuffa. Okay, so the one thing that I think it will help in terms of the sport, and this might not necessarily be, like, the best thing, but Brian talked about super champions in recess, like the diamond title. This is so confusing to the average casual fan. And I know people ask me, like, what does that mean that he's the super champion? Like what does that mean? And it's like, and then I'm trying to explain what this title means. There's people that get mailed belts, email champions. Like, there's a bunch of things that happen in boxing. Guys that lose fights and they get title shots. The one thing that this will help in terms of structure, because with this bill passing, for example, Zuffa, they're going to have their own rankings. They're going to have their own belt. They're cutting down weight classes, right? They're not going to be so many weight classes, which, like, I'm going to be curious to see how that all goes, and if there's going to be more changes made to that. But I'll say this, for the average fan, if you want to make boxing more for everybody to keep up with, right? Because we live in a day and age where, like, everyone's on their phones, everyone's scrolling, everybody has ADHD. I even have it. You know what I mean? It will make boxing easier to follow. And in terms of it being popular, being mainstream, because boxing was, like, the biggest thing in the 70s and 80s, even in the 90s, but we saw the fall off. Like, we saw the fall off for boxing, where it became like a cult fan base, Brian, for a lot of people. You know what I mean?
Is.
Yes, very much so.
We talked about fight parties and how that used to be a thing when we were growing up, and, like, nobody has fight parties anymore. Even for UFC, like, I don't have friends that have fight parties for MMA anymore either.
Yeah. Oh, so here's the thing, right? So fight parties. Okay, so there's this poster right behind me, Hearns Leonard. This was a
Mm.
fight that was put on in an arena at what was called the Coliseum, where the Canucks first started to play, and there would be fight parties in an arena in Vancouver. That would never happen today. I can't even find it at a bar. I can't find like a fight at a bar out here. So that shows you how big boxing was. Even like that's trippy to me. That does not happen here, right? So now, in terms of popularity, we know how popular the UFC is. It's just as Brian. It's just as popular as the NBA. It's just as popular as the NFL. Like let's be serious here in terms of like.
Today, you think that's the case? I don't right now.
I mean,
Like
I think
currently, right now, I
I think
don't.
there's been a fall off because I think people have been turned off with everything that's
Yes.
been going on. So that's a different discussion because
You
it's
mean
turned
with Dana White alienating a healthy portion of his fan base by aligning himself with the president?
okay. So the political stuff that has happened has turned off a lot of people,
Mhm.
but it's still as popular because it's like I think it's still as popular, but not as popular as it was. Let's say like 10 years ago.
Pre-COVID, yeah.
Yes, pre-COVID, it was booming. Like that was the best time to be a UFC fan. I think that Zuffa will rise to that level, and people are going to be watching Zuffa fights. Zuffa is going to be like a big thing at one point. And give it like 10 years, and people are going to be like, "Yo, I'm watching this Zuffa fight on this Sunday night." And it's going to be big. It's going to be massive. I do believe that, and people are going to be able to follow it because, like, I know a bunch of guys that watch UFC, and the reason they love it is because it's easy to follow, and they'll watch the big pay-per-view fights for boxing, but they don't know. They don't know like they wouldn't know like an Oscar Collazo. Blows my mind that they would not know Oscar Collazo. Like, what are you like? You're a fight fan and you don't know who Oscar Collazo is? Like, that's blasphemous to me. But what I'm saying is there are some positives in the fact that if you want boxing to be a major sport again, I think Brian, there's a path to that with Zuffa, and I'm just saying that being unbiased in how popular it could be. That's my only thing.
Hmm.
Like I think it is going to be like even in terms of the broadcast, like you could say what you want about it. I think it's really corporate. I hate how fighters don't get to show their personality. You can say what you want about Max Kellerman and how you feel about him and him glazing Dana and everything like that, and glazing Turk, right?
The
I will.
uniforms also.
Yeah, I'll say this though. He's a big name though, and the names that they brought onto the broadcast are good names. They got Andre Ward on there. They got Max Kellerman. Max Kellerman was that dude before. I don't know what happened to him. He was that dude before. And also, let's be serious. Molly is missed on First Take. Molly is missed on First Take. Whether you like Molly or not, I know I miss Molly on First Take. I haven't even been watching First Take recently a lot. But like I think Molly is missed on there. Like every time I see First Take now, I'm like, why did we not appreciate Molly enough? What I'm saying is they're building it to be huge, and I think Zuffa will be very popular at one point. And I think because of this act passing, they are on the right path to build it in terms of popularity. Do I agree with everything else? Probably not. I don't like anything else about it. It's not for the boxer. And if you love boxing, you want the boxers to have all the pros, Brian. You want and they don't have all the pros with this amendment.
I mean, yeah, because if the boxers are taken care of, if the boxers aren't taken care of, rather long term, then you're not going to get the fights you want. Like I watched in watching the UFC, how often are you getting the fights you want now? You know what I mean? Like that's not something that we're getting often, regularly. There are a few guys, and there are obviously a few times a year where it's like, okay, Alex Pereira's fighting, he's must see, so on and so forth. But that's kind of it. Shit, boxing has that problem now. Where like we have Sebastian Fundora fighting Keith Thurman. That's at the end of our show, and no one's even talking about it.
Nobody knows they're fighting. I forgot. I forgot till Brian was like, "Yo, this is what we're talking about." I was like, "Oh, that's coming up this week." Like, it's not even being promoted the way that it should, and that's another thing too. Like, here's the thing, Brian. I also think that boxing isn't covered the way it should be covered. Like, there's some great boxing platforms like Boxing Scene, Pro Box TV. They've really tried to do a really great job, but there's not enough of it. Like I think about major platforms in like television networks, and it's not there, and that is a problem, dude.
They're hoping that so what Dana White's going to try to do, because it's all about just influence. All these corporations in America, by and large, Dana White has an in with. they'll get coverage, even though they're on Paramount. Like they'll get coverage on ESPN. They'll get coverage by these places. The White House card is going to be covered like a motherfucker, even though that card is not nearly as good as they promised. And then they also have Turkey,
Yeah.
who just has the permission for now to continue to just however much money possible. And you also have the TKO influence, who again, they have the WWE. WWE, I don't know if people know this, they have more corporate sponsors than I think they've ever had at this point. And they're also
It's
they're
crazy.
publicly traded too.
I bought stock in it. They're I bought it way before. I bought it when UFC, like when it became public officially, and it was like hella cheap, and that's when I bought it. But as you know, the markets are so terrible right now. If you got stocks, your stocks are probably like in the worst position right now. And that brings me to say, Bryan,
dude, don't get me started.
No, bro. Listen, okay. So we're talking about Turk, and we're talking about all the money he has and all the bread that he has and how he's been putting on these fights. That is not something that is everlasting. Like, I don't know how sustainable that is. And I'll say this.
Project 2030.
With the war, let me tell you something. With the war, I don't know if this is going to turn bad. Because it's about to turn real bad. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah,
like
because,
with this war, what is Saudi going to do? Like,
yeah, because the country that I live in, they thought this would have been over by now. They didn't think Iran was getting ready when the United States was at war with Afghanistan and Iraq. They didn't think Iran was getting ready the entire time, being like, "Oh, one day it could be us." And well, so far, this has not ended, and it looks like it's going to go on for longer. And that's a very good point, because that can fold into how this all goes. Because if you're getting your money from Saudi Arabia, some people are going to have to make some very difficult choices about how the proceedings go moving forward. I don't know if we need to play the rest of Joe Courtney's statement, but he spoke. Fred Wahlberg spoke, Republican from Michigan. He's the one that made the Ali thing before. I think we should get to some comments, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, for sure. The last thing that I want to say, though, as an added caveat, the war is going to make things really difficult, and it's not going to end anytime soon. And people are going to have to start making some decisions, and boxing is going to be at the forefront of that, because Saudi is going to have to make a decision. They're in the Middle East. Like, this is like America's at a war.
I could tell you've been reading lately.
Hey,
on these trips, on these commutes.
When my gas started to go up, that's when I started being like, "What? This is the gas? Like, should I be dry? It's gonna go up more. It's gonna go up more. Like, this is bad." And also, this is off topic with the draft, and I don't necessarily like. I know America's like built on going to war. I'm Canadian, though. I don't want people going to war. Right? That's not a thing that we do. I don't want kids being drafted.
I don't think it's necessary.
I don't want people putting their lives on the line for people that are not looking out for their best interests. Young Americans going into war, like, this is, I don't want, like, you know what I mean? Like, families are going to lose a bunch of people. This is terrible. Like, I'm very against it. This is terrible. And it's like, I'm going to stop before I get canceled. I was about to say something because
you should. That's not a cancelable.
No, but what I was about to say, but it's just like, if you're America, fight for America. That's all I'm going to say. Right? You're fighting somebody else's war. You might be fighting somebody else's war. Why?
I think
you know what I mean?
I think even if you're America, you shouldn't only defend America. I think you have an obligation to look out for other people with the money and wealth that you have. Because part of the reason we're in where we are is because billionaires figure out ways to get money and hoard all the wealth, and everybody else is fighting for what they can fight for. Anyway, we should.
But I mean, America should help the countries that really need it, though.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? I'm saying, like, because we know how powerful America is in terms of a military. Like, that's why Canada doesn't have a military. Because we know, like, if first off, nobody
saw the World Baseball. You saw the World Baseball Classic. What was everyone's dancing and shit? What's the outfield celebration? A fucking salute. We're so military.
You know what, though?
It's crazy.
That was
as somebody who has had. Look, my mom was in the Marines.
Yeah.
Like, as somebody who has had multiple family members, uncles who have served.
Yeah.
But ain't for me.
Anyways, I just don't want to see anybody go to war. And now we're in a war. We're going up to World War. There's going to be a World War III. It's going to be sad. and that's just not what I
I
want to
hope
see.
not, but
I don't want it. I don't even believe it.
I've played too many video games that have led to World War III.
And guess what, Brian? I die every time. I have so many lives. I don't have it in real life. No, the draft thing made me sad. Like when I saw that bill passed years ago, it broke my heart. So it's like I just don't want it to go there. Anyways, this is going into a political turn. So if you want us to have more conversations like this, we can have it. And you can get videos like this, and we'll have like real conversations. But drop your comments, let us know if you actually like these type of conversations. But we'll trend towards boxing again. But it's all really connected.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, the war is not only connected to boxing, but it's also connected to jobs,
your life every day,
everything, and your family members are probably going out to serve. Right. So
or you're an investor who's getting slapped up by the markets right now, or you can't afford to invest. It's just getting worse because, like, have you seen the price of just groceries in general?
Right. Like, good eggs. Like, if you want to get like, legit eggs, they're over $10. And if I have to drive to the grocery store to buy those eggs, I'm losing a bunch of money. Like, it's terrible. But nonetheless, like, I hope the war ends.
I get the 18 pack of brown eggs because we go through them fast. Them shits are not cheap.
Yeah. No, I get the large pasteurized eggs from Trader Joe's. And the thing is, I go to the States to get my groceries, right? So I'm paying like double at this point because the dollar is terrible. So it's like, it's not smart. Anyways,
the euro I'm watching the euro move for reasons also. Okay, let's go to the top. Life Lessons Combat Sports is in here, Alex is in here, Jesus is in here.
Good friend of the show, by the way. All good friends of the show, guys. And we always say we have like the smartest friends of the show. So
yeah. And I don't know how many other boxing shows are doing it like this. But there are some who do, and you should support them as well. I've shouted out John Nash here before. I've shouted out Luke Thomas here before. I've shouted out Shantelle, obviously. Shantelle also has covered this stuff too. Let's see. I feel like not understanding or reading the paperwork is a huge issue with this. Also, good on Joe Courtney, Life Lessons Combat Sports. He and I were talking about this off the show, so we're both very plugged in on these matters. Foxy says morning, afternoon. Alex said every fighter has the rights to negotiate. They and their managers are responsible for that. The UFC always honor contracts. I can't say the same for Oscar and PBC.
Ooh, that's a decent point, Brian. Like
the problem with the UFC are the actual contracts. And there have been instances, like I think it was Jermaine Durandame who got stripped of her title because she didn't want to fight Cyborg because Cyborg tested positive for PEDs. Like that's some sort of violation. You know what I mean?
Cut you up? Adam Hurley, good friend of the show, by the way, says, I just buy bananas now. fun fact, you guys, fun fact, my first job ever was at a grocery store. I lasted a week. You have to remember codes for like vegetables, right? And I just couldn't remember the codes because like high school Shantelle, like I'm not studying for these codes. And I would just charge a room for bananas because it was the only code I remembered. It's terrible, but okay, let's go on.
Foxy says at the end of the day, Zuffa will always get their way with things like this when they have the ultimate cornerman in the White House. Yes, so long as he's in office and alive, that will continue to be the case. It appears. We'll see how the war and potentially other things dictate things, because with this government situation, it's unpredictable and volatile on a day-to-day basis, as many of you know. Life Lessons Combat Sports, if as a UBO you are in compliance with the Ali Act and it doesn't say you need to disclose financials, how do you make sure you get a fair share of an event's revenue? Right. That's the other thing. There was a leaked pay scale too that was also underwhelming. On top of that, it's like WWE also over the years, like they're middle class of wrestlers and they're lower tier wrestlers. They don't make like a ton, and they also for a long time are and have been, and I think this is still the case post Vince McMahon. I got to see, they're independent contractors. You know, they're not employees of the company. They're independent contractors. So for any of you who have been independent contractors, you're watching the show with two up here. We've been through this life and are about this life. Tax season, not the greatest.
I still haven't made mine. I got to do it this weekend. I keep putting it off, yo.
Me too.
It's so hard.
Because I know what I owe, and I'm like, bro, like y'all, like chill a little bit. The fuck?
And like just doing like that, like putting all your information, all your receipts. It's
I
like,
did
gotta
that
write
already.
This off.
I
didn't do that. I just have to do that. I'm trying to do it tonight, but I probably won't. I'll probably do it tomorrow.
I did it last week. It took me an entire afternoon. I had to track every bill, every payment, every travel expense, all these, it's a lot. It sounds like first world problems, so we'll keep it moving.
Let's go to some more comments, Brian, before we get on to the next topic.
And yes, as Shantelle says, there are some good things, but the negatives far outweigh the positives. I agree.
Yeah.
Me and Alex disagree on the degree of positives and negatives. We've had a spirited back and forth about this in my comment section. The ABC becoming the central commission with this bill's passing will make officiating and rules much more consistent rather than worrying about a corrupt official in Vegas or New York. I think the problem is the accessibility to that. So like, again, if you're doing there's a base level of insurance now that you have to account for that club boxing can't account for it, because Zuffa basically wants to become also the club boxing scene where they're doing like Friday Night Fight style things, but they also want to get all the prospects so that if you're a Larry Goldberg running Boxing Insider Promotions, or if you're, Thomas Lamana running promotions in Jersey, or whoever's doing it in California now at this point, like it's going to be harder for you to put together shows because you have to account for a significant more amount of insurance, and the insurance should be part of it. I'm not saying boxers shouldn't be insured. Obviously, you know where I'm at with this if you watch this long enough, but just the hurdles that it now takes, it just makes it so that only a couple of different entities can do this. By the way, I don't want to put this all on like this is obviously very much tied to Dana White and Zuffa, because if they didn't feel the need to get Congress involved, they wouldn't be getting Congress involved. That's an important point. But also, this benefits MVP, who has been building a monopoly on women's boxing, and Jake Paul is also friends with Trump, and they were together this month doing the dance, and he was sweating through his blazer. We laughed at that on this show. Jake Paul was. So like these are the two entities that are going to benefit from this the most. And ultimately, I think Matchroom will be fine because Eddie Hearn also can do shows in the UK, and he's been doing good shows here too.
Yeah.
But that's sort of what we're looking at. And then we'll see what happens with Top Rank. And by the way, Golden Boy now, who is re-upped with the Zone 2. The Zone is building like their own little monopoly from a streaming standpoint. So you're gonna have the Zone, you have Paramount, the occasional Amazon show with PBC.
Oh my God, PBC. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what's going on there. But I'll say this, Brian, before we get on to the next subject. This is going to be really interesting on how everything kind of falls. But I think Zuffa, Dana White, and Turk, the main point is they're trying to control every aspect of boxing. Every aspect. And that's why it's smart to have guys like a Eddie Hearn with Matchroom. That's why it's really important that Top Rank got this deal with the Zone. They're trying to literally control everything, and that's not good for boxing. What happens when someone has way too much power? That's exactly what could happen here. And then also, like, as a fighter, in terms of contracts, even I want to compare it to media. You want to be able to go to different networks because different networks offer you different things. Right? You might be happy somewhere, but you don't want it to be like, oh, like for example, if there was a network called The Mandatory, right? Because I don't want to say anyone's name because we might work for these networks. say if it was
there ain't a lot of options, so no, you never know.
Yeah, exactly. There aren't a lot of options. But like say it was called The Mandatory and you could only work for The Mandatory. There has to be options, man, because not everything is going to fit you. Right. So that's another thing, too. They're trying to make it so that at one point you can only come to Zuffa, which is why they have their own UBOs. So that's another part. Brian, any final thoughts before we get on to Ring Magazine?
Yeah, let's do it. Because we went on with this for a while. So Oscar De La Hoya, we're pulling this up. He was on Ariel Helwani's show, and we will credit Ariel Helwani, obviously, because it was his show. I thought it was a great, like, I've been wanting Oscar to talk about this for a while, because this kind of set the stage for Ring to become what it did and Turkey to get the power that he has. He was already trying to make inroads before this, but he ends up buying Ring Magazine toward the end of 2024, I believe. So Oscar said that he regrets selling it to him, and Turkey ultimately isn't who he thought he was, which could be kind of awkward given that he just re-upped with the zone. They're both going to be working with the zone, and obviously Turkey's and Saudi is funding the zone to a large degree at this point. But let's see what they had to say.
How'd you feel about how that whole situation with the IBF played out, where, you know, it seemed like it was going to be involved and then they stripped him and now he's upset and seeking legal action, it seems. What do you make of this?
More lies from Dana White, more lies from TKO. It's all lies. When Max Kellerman was reporting inside the ring after the fight, and he asked Jai Opetaia about the Zuffa belt. Like, Jai Opetaia doesn't care. He wants to unify all the belts, and it's pretty sad because you think about the ring ratings. What happened to them? This guy he fought was ranked number 15 from the IBF, and he was ranked number 10 by the Ring magazine. I mean, come on, guys. Who's making up the rankings now? I really do think that the Ring rankings, are out the window. I mean, I don't think there's any integrity there whatsoever. The Ring belt the Ring magazine was everything for, 100 years, let's say, and now it can just be in the trash can. I mean, might as well. It means nothing, and that's exactly what the Zuffa belt. The Zuffa belt. I mean, this pin is worth more than the Zuffa belt.
It's a marker. But...
this here is worth more than the Zuffa belt. It means nothing. It's just a name.
Do you regret selling the ring?
Great question.
Do I regret it? The way things are going, I actually do. And I never regret anything. When I had the Ring magazine, I kept its integrity. I kept the panel of writers from all over the world who were deciding who's number one, who's number two, making sure its integrity is in place. And I could have sustained it for forever if I wanted to, but Turkey came along, and I thought I was selling it to a person who really cared for the sport and was going to hold its integrity, but I guess I was wrong.
Yeah, because I saw on your Instagram just a couple of days ago where you were.
Let's pause it there. What did you think about that? What you said?
Okay, so I'll say this in terms of him saying that he never regrets anything, but like he thought he was selling it to somebody that would hold the integrity of it. That's really important. I'll say this though, Ring magazine has been more visible than it's probably ever been the last 10 years. Now, is that a good thing? It's biased because they're going to promote what they want to promote. And so they're putting out what they want to put out. But in terms of visibility, Brian, this is the most visible it's ever been in the last 10 years. So I'll say that. What are your thoughts?
I think, yeah, to your point, it's probably in the eye of the beholder, right? I think with Ring magazine, was it perfect under Oscar? No. I did feel like the rankings, like in looking back at annual rankings and seeing how they got here, like I didn't see a golden boy guy be number one every year. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like that crazy and what have you. I have seen guys who fight on ring cards get favored in this ranking, and they did get a lot of journalists who, like Douglas Fisher, for example, who one of the press conferences I went to, and he's the editor-in-chief of Ring. He was really over the top in kind of like Max Kellerman style, but no one cares as much because he's not Max Kellerman, no disrespect, but was kind of just like over the top in his support. Like Turkey's going to do the right things. And, like just he has big plans and all these things, like just overselling it. And just everyone around this dude just feels the need to oversell everything he does because he's bankrolling the shit out of them. Ring magazine, like it's not for me, is what I'll say. They're more visible, but that's by design. They're paying for that. Like they bought that with a strategy. Oscar didn't seem to have the foresight to know like this was going to happen. I don't think it was perfect under him, but I don't like where it's at now. I'll tell you what, you won't, you definitely won't see me working there. Is what I'll add to that. You try not to close doors, but like I'll tell you what, they will not know that like that ain't happening. They wouldn't call my door anyway at this point.
I mean, yeah, they're gonna have particular people work for them. I
Mhm.
mean, it's very political too. Ring Magazine, but they even have apparel now. Like I saw some like apparel they're
Oh,
putting
that's all
out.
by design. You
You know,
remember when they had a back and forth. Like the other thing that they've done is they've first of all they bought Michael Benson and they bought
yeah,
his account and just had him tweet for them. Like he was the guy breaking, not breaking, but like he was
he
like
was breaking news, yo. He was breaking
but
a lot of shit.
no, but like he would be like the aggregator. He was like the main aggregator in boxing. Like if somebody else broke a story, he would aggregate it and then people would have the visibility. He had an issue with not always crediting people. That was another story, but they ended up basically just using his account and turning that into the account that they use now. To funnel out all the news and whatever, and also the opinions. Like when they had beef with Frank Warren recently, we talked about this. They used the Ring Magazine platform to put whatever pressure and make Frank Warren look like a doof in public. They try to do it with Gary Jonas also, who runs Pro Box TV and owns Boxing Scene. Like they've tried to do this with uh Turkey's enemies, essentially. Like they were slanderous towards, I'm forgetting who the boxer was, but they were Tim Tszyu. They were slanderous towards Tim Tszyu after he lost. I think it was against either Sebastian Fundora or shortly after that or whatever it was. But like whoever beefs with them, like they use that to that platform that they've built to really stomp on them. So it's not even a journalistic entity anymore. It's really just boxing state media by the people who run it. And like people who work there are just kind of like, oh, fuck you guys and your moral high horse. Like Mike Coppinger had the back and forth with Luke Thomas, where he said Luke Thomas is, trying to be like holier than thou, telling him to get off his high horse. And then Luke Thomas responded with a 7-minute clip from his show, just destroying him.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I wish Oscar didn't sell it to him, but I don't know how he didn't see this coming. Like I think
I
these dudes were way too trusted Turkey way too much, but they were blinded by the money he had. So
listen, I could have told Oscar that this was gonna happen. I mean, we talked about this on the show like a year ago, right when all this was going down. So it's like he sold it. Ring Magazine is doing Ring Magazine things. I like the fact that it's visible, but I think here's the thing too. Like Oscar has personal issues with these people at this point, right? And so he's gonna say what he's gonna say, in a little bit it's gonna be emotional. And this is something that's not gonna change. Turk is gonna continue to bankroll a lot of stuff, and people are gonna continue to glaze him. And some people may like everything that he's doing, but
yeah.
let's go to Foxy's comment here, Brian.
So Turkey said Dubois versus Wardley was struggling to sell tickets when tickets weren't even on sale. As of today, the event is close to a sellout. Yeah, like that's basically what people, because they posted that on Twitter, and people were commenting back like, "Yo, the tickets are not even on sale. Like, what are you talking about? Like, why are you spreading this bullshit?" And I like that more people are seeing through it. I still think though there are a faction of boxing fans who like whatever Turkey says goes to them, and it's basically like whether or not you could see through the bullshit or not, and whether or not you care or not. Like again, there are always going to be people who like, yo, I just care about the fights.
Yeah.
Like there are going to be people who like, well, who's fighting this weekend? Good, I'll be there. And to each their own.
Yeah, and speaking of Brian, I don't know if you have any final thoughts before we move over
No.
to Opetaia. All right, so drop your comments, by the way, on what you think about Ring Magazine now and when Oscar had it, and just in terms of what Ring Magazine is doing to not only promote their fighters, but the things that they promote at the same time. Drop your comments, let us know. But also in terms of sanctioning bodies, which might change. Dana and Turk want sanctioning bodies to get up and out of there, but the IBF really holds to their rules, and they stripped Opetaia recently. And obviously, this happened because of him and the Zuffa belt, which was not too long ago actually when this happened. And it turns out the IBF just decided to strip him, and no surprise there, Brian. We said that this would actually happen, and it happened. And in terms of everything in Zuffa, so it was a cruiserweight title. He fought Brandon Glanton. That was March 8th. And he decided to fight for the Zuffa title instead. And so that's why they stripped him.
I think we would all acknowledge Brandon Glanton probably not at the top of our list of guys who should be fighting Jai Opetaia for any title. All due
And this,
respect.
yeah.
He did fight all 12 rounds as we suspected because he's tough as shit, but at the same time, like not one of the best cruiserweights in the world. That being said, I don't have a lot to add on this. I felt like the IBF, like they stuck to their criteria, and there are people who are upset online about like, oh, like, why wouldn't they recognize Zuffa? They're hating whatever. And it's like, yo, if Dana White, who runs Zuffa, is out here saying we want to kill the sanctioning bodies, in other words, like we want like them to be irrelevant, then yeah, if I'm a sanctioning body, like, fight back. So Jai Opetaia, and if I'm the WBC, if I'm any of them, like, yeah, if you're one of my champions and you go sign with Zuffa, that's it. Because now you're fighting over there and they want to be isolated and have their own thing. So it's like, all right, so you do that then, because Zuffa is not going to, like, they're not joining boxing to be part of something. They're joining it so that they can have their thing and have that eventually take over. The WWE has their own champions. UFC has their own champions. So Zuffa is going to have their own champions. And that's basically what it is. So.
Listen, no surprise here. This is a choice that fighters are going to have to make, Brian, and they're put in this position now because of fighting for Zuffa. I don't necessarily think Opetaia even needed Zuffa. It was the money that he was going to make in this, right? Because like, they're also trying to have like some bigger fights. Conor Benn is one of them, right? where they're paying him like a ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah,
and
$15 million to fight Regis Prograis.
To fight Regis Prograis. Like, I can understand why Regis would be in Zuffa at this point. But none of those guys need it. I mean, he doesn't even need it either. But I think Regis is at the tail end of his career, where it's like, I think he should have retired, in my opinion, because I don't like what we've seen from Regis the past few fights, Brian. But fighters are gonna have to make a decision now when they go fight for Zuffa. Foxy says, I'm happy with this decision. Opetaia should have known what was going to happen, and it has. No surprise. And so I wonder how Opetaia feels about this, Brian. How would you feel about it if you were him?
I can't speak on that because I wouldn't have joined Zuffa. Like,
exactly. Yeah, that makes all the sense.
The other thing. Like, you say you want to be undisputed, you say you want to unify all the titles, and then you join Zuffa. It makes no sense. Like, the guys you want to fight aren't in Zuffa. Zurdo Ramirez is not in Zuffa. Dave Benavidez is not in Zuffa. Like, the best cruiserweights in the world are not in Zuffa. So, like, what none of this makes sense on Jai Opetaia's point. Alex says the IBF should lose a lawsuit with Jai Opetaia. Yeah, because there's a lawsuit going on. Dana White we played that where he said he's going to sue. What's the difference between the Zuffa belt and the IBO? And then Boxing Gabriel says the difference is the Zuffa title is not a real title.
That's exactly what it is. It's not a
I get
real
the point.
yet.
I get the point. We dunk on the IBO as a boxing community at times. They're the fifth title and maybe the sixth or seventh, depending on who has a super title. But I think that's really what it is. I think Jai Opetaia, like, you wanted to unify, and the best guys you want to fight aren't in that promotion, and it doesn't seem like they're signing to that promotion right now. But okay. But if I'm the IBF, I would have done the same thing probably.
Yeah, we predicted this. Let's get to Foxy's comment. By the way, Eddie keeps making a point about this Conor Benn fight. Legal case could be on the way if Benn fights Prograis on that card. That's not Zuffa. We're gonna see how that all transpires. Brian, any final thoughts before we get to your boy Xander Zayas and Jaron Boots Ennis?
Yeah, let's get to some fun shit, man. Let's do it. Let's get to some fun shit. Should we talk about Fundora first?
No, let's save that for the last. Let's say we're going to break down the fight. You got to stay with the show because we're going to break down the whole entire fight, Fundora and Keith Thurman. But Xander Zayas, Brian, calling out Jaron Boots, and it's no surprise here. Xander has called out Virgil Ortiz before. He's calling out Jaron Boots Ennis, but this is a fight that can actually happen now because they're all under the DAZN banner now. So it might be easier to do, right? I would think.
You would think. So Xander Zayas, who still has the blondie from World Baseball Classic, because that's what we do. We dye our hair blonde for the World Baseball Classic. Puerto Ricans do. I don't because I just don't want to deal with having. I don't think I'd look good with blonde hair.
Have you ever done it before? Has your
No.
Puerto Rican ways ever got you to do this?
No.
Okay,
I don't
gotcha.
know why we started doing it in WBC, but I've never done this. Have I thought about it? Yes. Not recently, not in the last couple years. So Xander, I think so. Apparently, he wished Virgil Ortiz a happy birthday as well, and called out Boots. Like it was like a 2-for-1. Virgil Ortiz. Let me look this up to make sure. Yeah, Virgil Ortiz's birthday was yesterday. Okay, so Virgil Ortiz is 28 years old. He just turned 28, which is kind of crazy because God, I remember when he was 24, and it just felt like yesterday. He's already 28. Boots Ennis, also 28. Boots, by the way, will be 29 in June, late June, if you care about signs and astrology. I don't remember what sign late June is. I think that's a Cancer, if I'm not mistaken. But that's a Shantelle question. Okay, here's what Xander Zayas had to say about Boots.
Getting ready
Wearing
Tim's.
boots.
for my next fight, and I want to wish a happy 28th to my favorite prospect.
Happy 28th to my favorite prospect. People said this was about Boots because he's wearing boots, but it was also Virgil Ortiz's birthday. And it's like they're both 28 years old. So I'm like, wait, was he talking about both of them at the same time?
Maybe he was calling out both of them. The Boots is interesting. I thought he was just trying to like pay some homage to like New York in a way, being Puerto Rican, like New York, everyone wears Tim's. Like I remember the first time I went to New York and I was like, man, they really do wear Tim's out here. Like everybody had a pair of Tim's. But this is interesting. Are you surprised that he did this?
I have 2 pairs of Tim's, by the way.
I do too. I have a black in the wheat. A black and a wheat. You got to have both.
I don't have black. I don't know what mine are called. One of them is like a kind of like a sneakers type of thing, but when your sister-in-law runs the Timberland store, you know what I'm saying? Like
yeah, you gotta get the purse. You gotta get
you know what I'm saying? So shout out to Kat. Anyway, I think that like Xander's serious. Like he's calling the Q and all these different things.
He's the champion though. He
won again. He beat the man who people thought was the boogeyman in Charles Conwell. He beat Jorge Garcia, won a title. In his first defense, he goes and unifies with Abbas Baru, wins the title in Puyar, and he just wants to keep. Virgil doesn't have a title; he's an interim title. Boots has an interim title, and Xander has 2 titles. And he's like, "Yo, I just want to fucking fight these guys." He's called out Sebastian Fundora before. Sebastian Fundora had a chance to fight him before and vacated the title to pursue Tim Tszyu again, which opened up the door for Xander Zayas to get a vacant WBO title shot in the first place. He wants to fight all these motherfuckers.
Okay, and here's the thing though, like he's already a champ. We got a comment from Foxy, and Foxy says too early for Xander, but I rate him for wanting the fight, but it's also the type of fight Boots needs, and I think he wins. I'll say this. Remember when Canelo fought Mayweather? Like Canelo was coming up, like Xander's coming up, but Xander's already a champion in his division. If he wants to go for the top guys, why not? It's only going to be good for him, and he's not scared to put his O on the line.
He's 23.
He's young. Canelo was 23 when he fought Mayweather.
Jesus. All right, we're gonna do one of our favorite things on the show, which this is the long. Yes, it's rankings time. This is the longest we've gone in a minute without pulling them up.
Yeah.
So just to see, like, Xander, he could fight Rashidi Ellis, and I think people would be like, okay, yeah. He was a welterweight contender. He turned into a 154-pound contender. He's highly ranked. He could fight Madrimov. People would like that, actually. I think people would actually like that fight and be like, oh, okay, maybe that'll get him ready for a fight like this. Actually, I might recommend fighting Madrimov first before Boots or Virgil, but I get it. He could fight fucking Brandon Adams, obviously, who had a nice win recently. Like,
but Brian, he could do that. But where is the money at? Like, what is the biggest?
That's what I'm saying. So, I'm giving him credit for like not doing that and just being like, no, fuck that. I'm 23 and I want to do this shit now. Fuck that.
Listen, remember when Teofimo Lopez fought Lomachenko? He wasn't supposed to beat Lomachenko, but he did. Like, what's to say that Xander can't beat a Jerome Boots Ennis? What's to say that he can't beat a Virgil Ortiz? We don't know. right? So it's like, if he wants to take that chance, he's already a champ. I say go for it. Like, why not? And to be honest, like, it would also be beneficial to Boots, because who has Boots fought? Stanionis? Xander is gonna bring him. Listen, Xander brings a whole other different viewership. You got all of Puerto Rico behind him, right?
Commenters, chatters, viewers of the show. Who's the most popular boxer between Xander Zayas, Jerome Boots Ennis, and Virgil Ortiz right now, in your
Virgil
opinion?
Ortiz.
I genuinely want to know the answer to this question for people.
Did I just answer? My answer is Virgil Ortiz. I think he's the
Like,
most
like
popular one.
to like your friends who don't really watch boxing like that, who may loosely keep up with it. Like, you think they'll know Virgil Ortiz before they know Xander Zayas or Boots Ennis?
Yes, I do. Like, also, I think you have to take in part, like, I think you have to think about how subjective it is and where you're located. If we're talking in New York, I feel like Xander would be more known than Jerome Boots Ennis. Maybe Boots because he's from Philly.
He fights here more.
Yeah.
Well, no, Xander fights here more. Boots, I don't even know.
Boots should be bigger. Like, I've had this conversation, and Brian hates it when I bring it up, because I talk about the face of boxing all the time and how much I believe in Boots. Boots should be a bigger name, but he's not. But if I was to say to my casual boxing friends, they would know Virgil. Like, they would know Virgil is probably one of the most exciting boxers in the game. His fight style, who he like fought for Golden Boy, like Oscar De La Hoya promoted him. Like, just in terms of ties, Boots, like, I don't know what type of marketing promotional issues he's dealt with, but he has dealt with it. He should be a bigger name. But I think Virgil has a bigger name than Boots.
I think this is all hair splitting. The point of it is, I think from a purely popularity standpoint.
Okay, let's find out. Let's go over to Instagram. Let's see who has more followers. We're gonna do this the Gen Z way. All right, we're gonna go and we're gonna see who has the most followers. Like, this is what's most important these days, you know. And remember, like, let's take a guess. Let's take some bets. Who do you think has the biggest following
On Instagram?
Yes, this is what matters these days.
Okay. I think I'm gonna say Virgil.
Okay, so if we're going with whoever has the biggest following, then they're the most popular. So Xander, he's at 399,000. Pretty good, right?
Damn.
399,000. All right. Let's go to Jerome Boots Ennis. I think Jerome Boots Ennis has 525,000 followers. He's at over 500,000. Right, Virgil.
We have to account for.
Oh snap! This is crazy. Virgil Ortiz has 233,000 followers. So it goes Boots, Xander, then Virgil on Instagram.
Okay, but who posts the most? Like, does Boots post a lot? Boots he's probably had Instagram for longer. He probably uses it the most. Like,
Boots got 139 posts. Right, and he's older.
People delete shit.
Yeah, people try to make Instagram is so lame now, where it's like an aesthetic. I can't even. I don't want to go through all of my stuff and delete it because they're also my memories, and I don't really care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. I don't care either.
Virgil has 914, so Virgil's kind of busy on there. Yeah, he you know.
Is that
Xander,
the picture? Is that where the
Xander got 1,075 posts? So.
Yeah, Boots might be deleting shit. I don't know.
I'll say this though. Xander has all of if I'm Puerto Rican, I love Xander.
It's Xander.
Like, yeah. I'm rooting, and I've just known this from working with Brian for years now, that Puerto Ricans will support Puerto Ricans, and
we're psychotic, yes.
But no, that's not psychotic. That's how it should be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
Fijians don't do that. We just hate on each other. I'm not supporting this person. We're a bunch of haters, okay? And it shouldn't be like that. But I'll say this. I love that Puerto Rican people do that. So I'm not surprised that Xander has that big of a following over Virgil, right? Because if you think about Mexican boxing fans, which I feel like they would really support Virgil, they're also sometimes they pit other Mexican boxers against each other. And it's
and Virgil's born and raised in the States. So sometimes...
Oh my God, that's a whole other conversation,
so sometimes it'll be like, listen, we deal with that too. Shit. If I was from the mainland, maybe there will be people from the mainland who would perceive me differently. You know what I mean? I'm first generation born and raised in New York City because my dad was born and raised in PR. My mom was born in PR. and mostly raised in here in New York City as well. But I'm first like born and raised. So is my brother. So is my older sister. You know. So I think. Do you know what the other thing about this is interesting to me is like Xander. So if you're gonna fight again soon, and he's in camp, like he's actually like he started a camp. We don't know when he's gonna fight. Oh, I can tell you,
he's ready. He's ready. Which I thought that was interesting that he was in camp, Brian.
So this is the thing. It's like he's gonna fight Puerto Rican Day Parade weekend, most likely, or around then. The parade is gonna be June 14th this year. So I guess June 13th or maybe June 6th. Like one of those days he's gonna fight. That's obviously a big thing for us. Like that's the other thing. And Top Rank has done this so well because they were doing it with Miguel Cotto for so many years. Now, on that note, I think it's worth bringing this up because Cotto is where this really started. Because I was looking through Felix Trinidad's fights and I was surprised because I didn't see anything like the day before the parade or whatever. But he was promoted by Don King, who I don't know to what end he was thinking of it that way, right? But let's pull up Cotto first. I'll have Trinidad here on the side just to see if there actually is. But here, didn't know we were going to wind up on Miguel Cotto's box rec today, but one of the box recs I probably viewed the most in my life.
Yeah.
Puerto Rican Day Parade fight weeks. June 11, 2005 is like the first one. He fought Abdulayev. He shut his eye, TKO stoppage. Not a big name heading into that.
Yeah.
2006, Paulie Malignaggi. Young in New York City, you knew him. Fought in Brooklyn a bunch. Big fucking mouth. Still has one. And I mean that in a complimentary way. But not like a world beater at the time. And Paulie Malignaggi actually like fought well in that fight, raised his stock in a loss, and then he became who he became after, a multiple-time world champion, and various different times like among the best at his weight class. 2007, Zab Judah, who I wouldn't say this is peak Zab Judah, but I would say like this was still a good Zab Judah, like a quality Zab Judah. This is post the Mayweather stuff. He hadn't completely fallen off. And then 2009, Joshua Clottey. This was a close fight. Joshua Clottey was good, by the way, underrated. Yuri Foreman, Yankee Stadium.
I thought there was a lot of swing rounds in that fight, though.
Yeah, it was close. And then Sergio Martinez, who was older at this time and had a fucked up knee, and Cotto destroyed him. And that's it. And Daniel Gill, I forgot about that. Point of it is, you usually don't get like 50-50 fights on this weekend for obvious reasons. And if Xander fights Virgil or Boots, I mean, there are a lot of people who don't even think that's 50-50. They think it's like he's the straight up underdog and by a good amount. So it's ballsy for him to call him out. And perceivably, if you're about to fight, it's going to be around Puerto Rican Day Parade weekend. And it would be against one of those two dudes when normally you would probably fight a guy like Rashidi Ellis instead. No disrespect to Rashidi Ellis.
Yeah, no, Rashidi Ellis he's a name, but it's like the Puerto Rican Day Parade is such a monumental fight weekend, in my opinion. Like, because it's been going on for so long. Like, I haven't even been to the parade, and I used to get excited for Puerto Rican fight weekend. You know what I mean? Like, it's a part of boxing now, and the fact that it's going to be Xander's weekend. Let's be serious. It's going to be Xander's weekend for a very long time, Brian. Make the biggest fight. Do you not say that? Like, it's a huge weekend in boxing, period. Make the fight. Make the big fight.
In 2008, there was a card for Puerto Rican Day Parade weekend that was smaller. It was one that I told you we did the documentary on it, where Edgar Berlanga was like the main event at the time, or one of the main events. But he was a prospect at the time. So was Matthew Gonzalez. So was Zachary Ochoa and some of the other guys on this card. So like no one's been able to carry that mantle. Xander's already fought on the weekend a couple of different times, and he's had some mismatches. But yeah, like it's just been. And then if you look at Felix Trinidad's resume, it's just fucking name after name after name on some level. But like you're not seeing fights in June, like before the weekend. It's a lot of August and January and May, a lot of May fights.
But I think you can agree that like Cotto really made that weekend a big deal.
That's what I'm saying. Like it wasn't a thing with Trinidad. Like they didn't market him in that, and like he was popular as all shit. Like he was one of the most popular people like here.
I think worldwide though.
Yeah.
I think it wasn't just. I think it was worldwide how popular he was.
But I'm just talking about fighting on the weekend. It wasn't a
Yeah.
thing with him. It became a thing with Cotto that they're putting on to Xander now. They tried to do it with Felix Verdejo and it didn't work. And then with
For obvious reasons.
yeah,
Yeah.
and with Xander, if he does it with Boots or if he does it with Virgil, usually you get a tough fight that you should win. Ain't no should with Boots or Virgil. Like he's gonna be the
Yeah.
underdog either way.
I'll say this though, Brian. So you mentioned how Miguel Cotto made it a thing, but that's the thing. If you followed Miguel Cotto's entire career, which I did, that's why that weekend is so monumental to me. That's
Yes.
why I think it's a big weekend because I followed that whole entire career. So to me, it's a big weekend. So if I'm like Xander Zayas is up next, it's going to be his weekend. Make the biggest fight that you can make, and it's got to be Boots or Virgil. And personally, I would like it to be him and Virgil. That's the fight that I want to see because listen, like it's Mexico, Puerto Rico, like that type of rivalry that's one of my favorite rivalries in all of sports. That boxing rivalry. And that's what I want to see. And because I think when it turns into like Virgil and Boots, then it turns like into like racist comments. And that's what I'm not for. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
and here's the thing, like Virgil has to fight somebody and Boots has to fight somebody. And I think it's more important for Boots actually to fight with someone with a big name. So the monumental name.
Yeah. So okay, I think Boots. You think Boots needs Xander more than Virgil does?
I don't think Virgil needs Boots, Brian.
You don't
'cause
think
he's
Virgil
so young.
needs? Well, but what about Xander? You
No,
think
wait, sorry. Let me rephrase that. I don't think Xander needs Boots. Xander's the only one that probably does not need Boots because Xander's 23 years old.
I don't think Xander needs either right now because
Yeah.
he has the titles. They don't. And
He has the
that's-
leverage. He has leverage.
But this is why, look, he's at least calling, like, it's not like people poking holes in like Keyshawn Davis, for example, because he's being strategic about who he calls out. But people are like, why are you not calling out Andy Cruz, for example? Why are you not calling out this person? And it's like Xander's like, no, top of the weight class. I want both of you guys. So I give him props for that. I don't even know if he'd win either fight. I don't know. Like I every time I see him, he gets better. And with Virgil, he's dealing with this situation. I don't even know where his head's at right now. I don't even know if he's going to be in the ring anytime soon. And then with Boots, it's like you just got a first round knockout months ago, and we're not hearing shit about your next fight unless it's this. And we've kind of seen this happen before where it's like, yo, we always think a big fight's coming for Boots, and then it ends up being not a big fight.
And it ends up being like, are we even caring to watch this fight? That makes me upset because Boots, that's why I think Boots needs the Virgil fight. That's why I think Boots needs the Xander Zayas fight so everyone can get off his back about it and he can show how great he is. But at the same time, it's him not being scared to take Virgil. Virgil is one of the top guys in the division. Xander is one of the top guys in the division. It doesn't matter how young he is. He's one of the top guys in the division. So you have to go fight the best. With titles. You have to go fight the best. And if you're Boots, fight somebody that's the best at this point. Right? Xander doesn't need to do that because he's got 2 of the titles. And he's like, hey, I'm 23 years old. I could do what I want. I could take my time if I want. Like, there's also no need to rush Xander.
Right. That's why of these 3, who needs to fight each other the most versus least? Like Boots needs to fight one or the other the most. Boots needs the most.
I'll tell you what,
and then it's Virgil, and then it's Xander because Xander's so young and already has 2 titles. The other guys only have interim titles, and Boots is the oldest. He's going to be 29 in June.
And you know what? I thought Boots is older, but he's still young. He hasn't even hit 30 yet. And I feel like between like 29 to like 33, you can kind of really hit your prime as being a boxer. I'll say this though.
Depends, but yeah.
Depends who you are and like your fight style. I'll say this though.
And your lifestyle.
I think Virgil and Xander want the big fights though. Like that's the difference about them. They're young and they're hungry. They want the big fights, Brian. Whereas like Boots has like taken his time, like strolling, fighting, the same guy twice.
Lima, Karen Chikada's on. Karen Chikada's on was mandated the second time, but I didn't love that.
But that was terrible, dude. And so like, listen, Boots could be the biggest name in boxing. I've said this before. It's just like who he's fighting promotionally. Things haven't gone well, but Xander doesn't need any of these guys. If he wants the big fight, he can go and get it. And I think he wants it though. That's the thing, Brian. Xander wants the big fight and Virgil wants the big fight. Like Virgil, you know how we talk about the next big face of like Mexican boxing, which has been Canelo for a really long time. Then you talk about the monster and David Benavidez. Virgil wants that title, dude, to be that guy. I think Virgil wants to be that guy. Like we talk about Xander being the next big Puerto Rican boxing superstar. I think he already is at this point. I'll say that. I think he is. I think he has that title. Virgil wants to be that guy on the other side, to be that Mexican American.
Okay. Do you think Xander, who wins, Xander or Boots, if they fight? I don't think Virgil's going to be in this. I think that there's too much legal shit, too much other shit going on. I'd be surprised if he fights within the next 2-3 months.
You're right. Hey, so that's another great point. Okay, so that is the best point that I think Bryan's made in the last 5 minutes. He's made a lot of good points. I think we're not going to see Virgil for a while because of everything that's going on.
Legal shit, yeah.
Yeah, they can try to nip it in the butt, but I think like we'll see him fight once this year if we're lucky, because we're already like almost in April. It's opening day today. Okay.
Yeah, the Mets are not off. My Mets are not off to a great start.
Listen. I like who
actually never mind. We're winning 5-3.
Bro, what I want to know is like
we
why
gave up 2 runs in the first inning and we scored 5 in the first inning.
I want to know who wanted to watch the Giants last night on opening day, other than Giants fans. I didn't. Like, I was like, why is this a matchup with the Yankees?
Why is it not Yankees Red Sox or Yankees?
That's
Blue
what
Jays?
I was just about to say. Like,
or Blue Jays Red Sox.
Why are we watching the Giants? Okay, and I'm a Dodgers fan, so I hate the Giants with a passion. But that I love that they got smacked around on Netflix last night. But nonetheless, it's not about baseball. Where was I going with my point?
3 RBIs for Brett Beatty. Let's go. Yeah, I think Xander or Boots, who wins? We know Boots is the favorite, and we know Boots has been like he's shown more talent throughout the course of his career, but I don't know.
No, they pulled Paul. He pitched 2/3 innings. They pulled him.
Oh,
the Pirates.
Yeah. Bye.
Whew. Well, that messed up my parlay. Okay, anyways, I will say that it's hard not to pick Boots.
Right.
Because of the experience. He's older.
Even as a Puerto Rican, like it's hard.
It's hard. Here's the thing. I'm a big Xander Zayas fan. So I would like to see him win. I think he gives Boots problems. I don't think that's an easy fight for Boots.
Karen Chukadazan gave him problems.
That's what I see. I don't see it being an easy fight for Boots. I could also see it being like a majority decision or a split decision. Like, I don't think that's an easy fight for Boots, but I think Boots wins.
I haven't seen Boots fight anybody as good as Xander yet. And the reverse is also true, obviously. But I think Xander has better wins.
You know what's
so
crazy?
Far.
Xander's only 23 though. Like, yeah, that's why I'm like, he's so good, dude.
So the thing we're sleeping on is because a lot of people just look at this and be like, yeah, Boots would just whoop his ass. But then it's like,
no,
when you're young and getting better, like Xander's gotten better every fight. Even in the Bas Bauru fight, like he's shown that he gotten better in terms of now. I don't agree with the decision to just make it all out war in round 12. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, he boxed really well. He won 8-9 rounds clearly. He's gotten better at using the ring, using his movement. I think that can be frustrating for Boots Ennis because we saw it be frustrating for Boots Ennis when he fought Karen Chukadazan. Okay, like
yeah,
I think Xander's better than people give him credit for. He would not be the betting favorite, and
I would probably bet. I honestly would bet on Xander just because I know the odds would be crazy. I would, because I think here's the thing. I think Boots is so good, and so I think experience and skill is like when I think about this matchup. But Xander is younger. Oh my God, this is tough, dude. I think. Do you think Xander also? I think Xander's punching power is very interesting to me because I think he breaks you down round by round. Like he doesn't have like this like crazy knockout finishing.
He's not a big puncher.
But what he can do is he'll break you down round by round, and what he's really great at is getting to the body. He's gotten better at getting to the body.
The other thing is with Boots, sometimes he can have these moments of just, or these lapses and just like, I'm just not going to throw for a little bit. And Xander's just relentless with volume the entire
Alex,
time.
what is Xander Zayas' signature punch? He's Puerto Rican. He's got a left hook. Okay, like that's what he's got, a left hook to the body.
Right.
Okay, that's what he's got. He's Puerto Rican. Let's be serious here.
Yeah. We should probably talk about the fight that's happening.
Okay,
this
sorry,
weekend.
Jesus. We've gone on a little bit of a tangent. We had time today though, so we hope you enjoyed it. Also, like and subscribe to the show. Let's get to the big fight that's going on that nobody's talking about, but we're going to talk about. We're going to break it down.
Such a big fight.
Sebastian Fundora back in the ring against Keith Thurman back in the ring. This is going to be a matchup at 154 pounds. This is a fight that I think I've been anticipating, Brian, but I feel like nobody's really talking about it. Sebastian Fundora, 23-1-1. He's got 15 knockouts. We know that he's 6'5", southpaw. Keith Thurman, a little bit older now, right? He's 37 years old, 31-1, 23 knockouts. And the height difference is really big. It's like 5'9". Brian, I think you're like 5'9", right? 5'10", around there.
5'8" on a good day.
Okay, that's nice. That's nice. Okay, so Fundora's last couple of fights, we should probably pull up some box rec stuff as well. But he knocked out Tim Tszyu in 2025, and that was kind of the fight where Fundora also, if you actually take a look at how he fought in that fight, like he changed his fight style, because we all know how tall he is and how he wasn't using his size and range before. He did in that fight with Tim Tszyu. And I think that cut would have changed things, but nonetheless, that first fight.
I'm still skeptical of if Sebastian Fundora's figured everything out, but he has gotten better.
Yeah.
Like the last time we saw him, that was the best that we've seen at using his size. I'm not counting the fight with Cordell Booker because Booker was just so overmatched in that, with all due respect, and also a little bit older from where he was before. Fundora Thurman, I've always been more intrigued by this fight than you. But I can't see myself being convincingly like, yeah, Thurman's gonna win this, as much as I want to, just for fun. But like, he's older, so many layoffs. He's in the midst of another one. We haven't seen him in a year. He's not the one that got hurt that pushed this fight back this time. Okay, so there's that. But I do think Thurman will. I'm kind of with Ryan here. Ryan Hong checks in, one of our good friends of the show. I have a feeling Thurman. He says, I have a feeling Thurman has one last great performance in him. I think he's going to make Fundora struggle. Like I
think so.
I think this is going to be a difficult fight because Thurman's going to know all the tricks. It's just, is he going to be quick enough the way he was before? Is he going to have that same snap in his punches, that power when he was a welterweight in his prime, fighting against guys like Sean Porter, fighting against, Diego Chavez, fighting against Danny Garcia? Like, I don't know if that Thurman's ever coming back, but maybe Fundora just wins a close one to me. Maybe I'm underselling him a little bit here, but Fundora, like, if he's really figured everything out, like, we'll see, because Thurman, to his credit, also looked very good against Brock Jarvis last year in the brief fight that we saw him get a third round stop.
Jarvis, though, you know what I mean?
I mean, like, Brock Jarvis, Cordell Booker.
Okay, you're right.
Tim Tszyu's probably washed, and also not the most, not necessarily the hardest fight style to navigate through if you could box well enough.
So listen, we know that the way that Fundora is going to fight, and hopefully he doesn't fight like that, but he does bring pressure. Why are you laughing?
Because of what you said. Like, you hope that he doesn't fight the way he probably is so tempted to.
Yeah, like, so he needs to use his size and his length, and he fought really, really well in his last few fights in terms of getting better. Like, he's not fighting on the inside like a telephone booth fight, which he fought all the time. You don't want to do that against Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman is extremely skilled, and he knows how to use his angles. I think that's what's going to give Fundora a lot of trouble. I think this is going to be a close fight, Brian. I think it's going to be like 115, 113. I don't think Fundora is going to like school Keith Thurman in this. And I agree with our good friend Ryan. I think Keith Thurman has a good performance in him still. And remember, Keith Thurman was that dude. He was that dude, but this is at 154, right? This is not at 147, which I thought Keith Thurman was really good at 147. This is at 154.
Yeah, but he has to cut fewer weight.
As you get older, that's better. Yeah. So here's the thing. I think he's going to give Fundora problems. I think this is going to be a tough fight for him. I'm not betting on this fight. Are you?
I haven't been betting on fights lately like that.
Yeah, I think it goes the distance. Like people are like, oh, Fundora's going to knock out Thurman. I don't think so. I think this fight goes the distance. I'm not taking so
Yeah.
I like some people are betting on I was taking a look at the odds and some people were betting on Fundora beating Keith Thurman in rounds 9 through 12 by knockout or TKO. I think this fight goes the distance. I think there's going to be a lot of close rounds. I think Keith Thurman is going to make it really, really tough. The one thing that I'm worried about is Keith Thurman's stamina, the layoff.
Yeah.
Sebastian Fundora is coming off a layoff too, though.
And an injury.
Yeah.
It's important. Like also an injury. So that's the other piece of this. It's like Sebastian Fundora. Now, look, this was supposed to happen like October. So this fight got pushed back enough where he should be healed. We haven't seen Sebastian Fundora since July. So 8 months, you know, fought twice last year. Had a year layoff before that Cordell Booker fight. So that was the sort of stay busy fight. But yeah, we've seen Thurman. It's going to be the second time he's fought in 4 years. It's going to be fourth
Hey,
fight.
Brian, but what do they say leaves last when you have power? Because Keith Thurman has a crazy left hook.
I know, but we haven't seen. I mean, Brock Jarvis, but we haven't otherwise seen it in a while, probably because of injuries. Like Thurman has one knockout since 2015.
Yeah, it's crazy. We haven't seen him in the ring a lot though, Brian.
He's fought since 2017 4 times. So that's why I'm like I can't get to him just winning this. Maybe he drops him and it's like 116, 111. Like Fundora drops Thurman, I mean, and it's 116, 111. You see up here, 380 minus 380, Sebastian Fundora, plus 270, Keith Thurman. Method of victory, plus 260, Sebastian Fundora on points, plus 260 on points.
I'm taking that right now.
Look at how quickly you fucking want to bet on the fight after saying you don't want to bet on a fight.
I'm depositing the money right now. I'm updating Bet365 as we speak. That's too good. I would bet $100 on that.
100? Oh, you're
yeah. I have $100 today. Actually, I won big last night. Actually, I won an easy G last night.
Parlay.
Yeah, it was another. I've been winning like every other week. Like a big parlay. Actually, shout out to your boy Juan Soto because he just won me a little bit of money. Took him higher on.
I'm very glad that Juan Soto could do that for you. I hope we win. We got Paul Skeens the fuck out of there. Who's this girl again? The gymnast chick. What's her name? From LSU. It's escaping me. She's annoying. Sebastian Fundora minus 120 by knockout, by the way. Keith Thurman on points plus 500 and by knockout plus 600.
Adam Hurley says, a friend of the show, by the way. Fundora should definitely be the favorite. Today. Yeah, well, you guys all are, but he says Fundora should definitely be the favorite. He is the favorite, and there's a reason for it. Keith Thurman older, he has the layup, but Keith Thurman, I think, can still give him problems. Like I hate to say this, and maybe I'm not trying to be a hater. I'm not sold on Fundora. Like when I think about 154, he's the one I like the least in terms of fight style and how he fights because he's so hittable. He's been knocked out before.
Sebastian Fundora to get a knockdown minus 160.
Not taking it.
We're sold on the
system.
Has been knocked out. We're sold on Gabriella.
Gabriella could probably beat Keith.
Okay, no, come on.
No, that's like that's a Clarissa Shields.
Yeah, right, you're right.
And Keith Thurman said he would fight Clarissa Shields. I just said that because I wanted to bring it up.
But we got a bunch of other comments about other stuff that we should wrap on the show with. But I think you know what? Actually, wait, let me pull back up the card real quick before we get out of here and wrap up some comments.
Because we've been here for a while, guys.
I think Thurman wins. I mean, I think Fundora wins. My bad. No. I think Fundora wins.
You're such a nerd, man. You're like, my bad.
I think Fundora wins because I just don't have the courage to pick Keith Thurman in 2026 to win the fight, even though I think he's gonna outperform expectations and make it a close fight. I just don't think he'll have enough ultimately. I tend to not bet the old guy in this situation usually. So
by the way, I didn't mean you're actually a nerd, but that was like really funny. That was like a nerd.
I'm a nerd about certain things.
No, just about we're both nerds about boxing. I want to get to Adam's comment really quickly too, because this is Alex. He talked about Tellez and Elijah Garcia on the main card. Are they still legit contenders? So as you can see there, Tellez fighting Brian Mendoza. That's a good fight.
We had Elijah on the show. Also, he showed us his chicken farm. Elijah was great. He did the interview with his roosters in the backyard. He had lost since, but is he still a contender at super middleweight? I mean, Carlos Adames made a bit of new. Apparently, he's moving up to 168. Did you see that? By the way, speaking of 168, Carlos Adames might fight. Like, Carlos Adames might be moving up to 168.
I saw that.
Middleweight sucks. Jesus.
That's why I think he's moving up.
Middleweight is ass right now. I mean, Janibek for some reason still has a WBO title. He only got stripped by the IPF because again they have standards.
Yeah, they legit have standards. But yeah, I would still. I need to see more from Elijah Garcia. I want to see him in this fight because I think this is actually a really, really good fight with him.
Yeah, it's a good Kevin Newman second is a good test for him. Kevin Newman fought recently.
When was his last fight? It's been a while, hasn't it? Yeah.
Elijah?
No, Kevin Newman.
July of last year, he beat Malcolm Jones. He fought Manuel Gallegos. That was around the time. Okay, like I remember he's been on these type of cards before. But Elijah Garcia, so he lost to Kyron Davis, who lost to David Benavidez, I want to say, a while back, and he beat Terrell Gausha in his last fight. Although that was somewhat controversial of a decision, and he also got dropped by Terrell Gausha, who's like the definition of wily veteran in this like Terrell Gausha, who's been in there with like Edison Lara, for example. And I've been to Barclays Center for great fights. That was a night where like people were booing the main event. They were not happy with Lara and Gausha. But regardless, we haven't seen Garcia in a year, and it's only going to be the second time we see him since June of 2024. But we'll see.
Both coming off layoffs. Brian, are you going to be watching this card?
Yeah, I'll pop it on.
And by the way, mandatory viewers and friends, let us know who you're taking on these fights and how you see this fight going.
Do you want a post-fight show for this?
Oh, we'll reconvene. We're going to reconvene and let you know. I think it's a big enough fight to do a post-fight show, though.
I just want to shout out that Moses Atama is also fighting Jermaine Franklin this Saturday in the UK.
That's a big fight.
At the Co-op Live. I have immense respect for Jermaine Franklin, who is another one of these dudes who shit was never handed to him. He just goes and takes big fight after big fight. He's like, I'm going to be the B-side. I don't give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that he lasts in that fight. Moses Thomas was a motherfucking tank, but Jermaine Franklin he's good. He can make this some troublesome. Like I thought he beat Dillian White. In that fight. He did not get the decision. I thought he fought Anthony Joshua pretty well. Thought he won a few rounds in that fight, but Joshua clearly
He's a good fight. He's a good fight for Moses.
Yeah.
I think a very good fight. Brian, any final thoughts before we get up and out of here? We've been with you guys for like over an hour and a half, so thanks for rocking out with us today.
Yeah, feel free to like, comment, donate as well. Let's wrap on some comments here because we got some others. Side note from Life Lessons Combat Sports. What is your take on Miguel Cotto as a boxer? Do you have any intel on how he is as a person? God, at the risk of extending our show too much longer, which we don't want to do because Shantelle has shit to do. I can see it in her face. I've worked with you too long. I know.
Like, I gotta go. Yeah.
All I'm gonna say is he's my second or third favorite boxer ever. Felix Trinidad's one, and then the other person who would be in that top three is Roy Jones Jr. As a person, I've heard nothing but good things. He's a serious person, but also is a family oriented. All the great things. And I've covered him in person. I covered his last fight, as a matter of fact, where he lost to Saddam Ali, which I thought was bullshit. But still, one like another dude who fought everybody basically, and came from an era where like he would be so appreciated now amongst diehards, and he is right now. But if he were around today, like God, he'd be destroying the welterweights. That's for sure.
That's for sure. He's in my top 5 of all time. Like my top 5. I don't know if I'd place him like 3rd or 4th, but he's on my top 5 for sure. I got to think about that, but he's definitely 3 or 4 for me.
Underrated defensively also. I want to point that out. Foxy says only caught the last of Cotto's career when that fraud cheated against him. Antonio Margarito. That wasn't toward like the end, but yeah, it was like in the middle somewhere, but at least he got that one back.
Yeah, he avenged that. So that's the biggest thing.
Foxy says Xander tight at the weight, moving up soon.
He will eventually.
You've made this point. He big for 154.
He looks big in the ring, dude. Like actually, like I'm always like, whoa. Like I don't think he is actually like filled out in terms of his body. he's only 23 years old. So imagine when he's like 28.
He'll be a
He's-
middleweight.
He's moving up for sure. Like for sure he's moving up. And I don't know where his cap's going to be, but I think he could fight at 175.
I was gonna say maybe light heavyweight.
He's like, this kid is like gonna grow, dude. Like he hasn't filled out yet. And that's why like when we talk about power and he's already breaking down guys, like I think as he gets older, we're gonna see that power.
So you think he's one of the guys who will grow into his power, not
Yeah.
that his power will because there's Terrence Crawford grew into his power as he moved up. Teofimo Lopez has done the opposite, where he's gotten weaker as he's moved up.
I'll say this, like what he's gonna grow into his power. The thing is, Xander's good at everything else. So once he grows into his power, bye-bye, everybody. It's over. It's a wrap for everybody once he does that.
Alex says Crawford ducked boots.
I don't think Crawford ducks anybody.
I don't think. I think he just chased 154.
A bigger fight.
Yeah,
I think he just chased the money at that point in his career. I'll say that, Alex, because it's like when he was at Top Rank and then all of that the promotional issues were happening and then we didn't see him fight for a while. Then he fought for like BLK Prime. All of those moves were to get to the biggest fights. And at the time, Boots wasn't a big fight for him in terms of money.
Yeah, Boots wasn't a thought at the time. I don't even know if he had a title by the time he fought on BLK Prime against David Evanesian.
Because they were talking about Boots even like before he fought Spence. And that was like the biggest fight at the time to make in boxing. They make the fight. It's still like 3-4 years late. They make it though.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like after he fights Spence, why would he have to fight Boots?
Boots was like, so he was one of the top contenders around that time. I'm looking it up now. Boots, he had the interim title.
Yeah.
He had the interim title at the time they fought. So he could have fought Boots after. That would be the window, was before he fought Madrimov, but he moved up to 154 instead.
Yeah.
Fought for that title. By the way, Madrimov was a fucking tough fight. Like, you know, like, and then obviously fights Canelo after. So I think Boots came around like a little too late. And now it feels like, is he too early for some of these other dudes? But I think at least he'll probably get Xander. He also says Oscar Collazo is better than Xander Zayas, in my opinion. I don't disagree with that because Oscar Collazo is in my pound for pound top 10. I think he's really fucking good.
Oscar Collazo is like, I was talking about him earlier. Like, if you don't know who Oscar Collazo is, like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? Yeah. But nonetheless, drop your comments. Let us know. Let us also know now that we're in baseball season after basketball season, if you want us to do a night show, because those are possible. But we are on every Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time every Thursday. And this is where you can catch us.
Mm-hmm. Frank Warren, last comment. Foxy says Frank Warren pretty much has the whole heavyweight division at the moment. Signed Jared Anderson recently. Yeah, Jared Allen has a co-promotional deal with Top Rank and Queensberry. So are you still excited about Jared Anderson, by the way?
That's a whole nother conversation that could take about 10 minutes or so.
We are excited about Richard Torres, though.
Richard Torres is the next great American heavyweight. I've been saying that for years, and I still believe it. And him and Jared Anderson, good friends. Go check out the Richard Torres interview. It's on our channel. We'll be back. We'll maybe be back on Saturday. We'll let you know. Make sure to keep up to date with our socials. We'll announce it there if we do a post-fight show. So, Brian, I'll let you have the last words, as I always do.
Let's go Mets.
And Dodgers. I'm going to have the last words.